Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Blue Central Postgame, powered by STL Sports Central and sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. I'm Thomas Welch here with Mike Meyer, and oh my God, the Blues won a game. It was against the worst team in the Western Conference, one of the worst teams in the NHL. The abysmal second period reared its ugly head again, but in the third period, all the way down until the clock hit 0-0, they held on for the victory to get the full 2 points. Mike, give me your knee-jerk reaction as we break it down in the comments. Start flowing in quickly.
I love this victory. They got a victory here in the new unis. I'm the curse is broken here at this point. I love that here for this team. But we were talking here just before we went live. This is a victory that the Blues should have had. This is a victory that, even though you are buried here in the standings, this is one that you absolutely just needed. And I agree here. We won for once, barely, but we won. So we'll raise up the flag here for the W and celebrate that victory. We got to be able to get the points here wherever we can. But holy smokes, this was it was a bit of an ugly victory.
Yeah, I think that's underselling it a little bit, especially like I said it on Twitter. When you go up, 2-0 in the first period, even 3-0 because you score the next goal, it's like, okay, we've seen this before from this team. Like, we're just waiting for the collapse. And obviously, towards the end of that second period, you had, about a minute to 2 minutes of just chaos, and all of a sudden, the game is 3-2, and you kind of, things start tightening up a little bit for the fans and I'm sure for the players on the ice. But I mean, my God, it looked like every single practice that the Blues had, they're pumping classic rock, and Jim Montgomery is trying to get the boys fired up and, outlandish any ways possible. We saw him kind of pull out the classic rock last year too, and it worked to some degree. So I think they had Jake Neighbors as the DJ, and I think they're just trying anything right now. And you can see it on the bench, even taking advantage of the TV timeouts when they have the entire team huddled around a whiteboard like they're at practice. Like, they're going back to the basics. And I think, I think we're still seeing the problems of this team rear its ugly head, like I said, in the second period. I think for the rest of this season, all 82 games, like every second period, I'm just going to have like PTSD. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter like how well we play down the stretch or like, what kind of team shows up night in and night out. I'm just going to be like, just make it through the second and we'll be fine. Just make like doing like
got the tight butt cheeks
voodoo doll stuff. I'm willing to try anything too, but I think for the Blues, like, is it against a bad team? Yes. Did they play a perfect game tonight? Absolutely not. And by all accounts, it felt like a game that they were going to end up losing and blowing, but they didn't. And I think that's the whole positive that I'm going to take away from this game is that you won. The process, I think, still isn't there. Like, I think the Blues let up 40 shots on goal. Benner was doing everything he could, but he was swimming left and right in the crease trying to keep the puck out. I'm not even going to touch on goaltender interference because I'm not even going to pretend to know what the rule is anymore. But to me, it looked like I watched a replay where the puck was never covered. It went to the net, and they're like, no goal because we said so. It's like, okay, we're not going to challenge it because we're up by 1 and we don't trust our penalty kill. So that's kind of the breakdown of what I saw tonight. And like I said, you got the result and you got the 2 points. And at that point, at this point in the season, with the Blues struggling the way that they are, like, you'll take them any way that you can get them. But the process has to get better in games down the road, especially once you start picking it up against teams that aren't 4-12-2.
Yeah. I think here, before we get too terribly here into it, we got to be able to pay the bills here just really fast. We're going to be able to look here just at Home Bank. The post game here is just brought to you by our business banking partners here at Home Bank. From business lending to everyday banking, Home Bank been with us here since day one as a trusted partner. Business isn't just about numbers, it's about relationships. With Home Bank, those relationships make all the difference. Home Bank is the team behind our team at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. Home Bank, member FDIC, more than a bank, they're your business partner. Again, we got to get all that stuff here out of the way because, boy, I'm I still don't know what to be able to think about this team. I don't. Everybody's talking about trading Shen, trading Cairo, trading Falk, there's rumors starting about to fly, and I get it because Doug Armstrong seems like that he is open for business, and there's rumors flying around that he is open for business. And with the way here that tonight's victory went, it wasn't great when you look at your fourth line here as your best line. Like sometimes you're just going to have that where your bottom six just absolutely outplays your top guys. But it's been all season long where your top guys have not shown up. And I cannot underestimate and undersell my frustration here with this. Buchnevich, yeah, he looks like he's just been snake bitten here 5-on-5, and he's still looking for that first goal. You've got Robert Thomas, who just, rings one off the crossbar, and he wants that one back. He does not look like that he's been going here at 100% all season long. Jordan Kyrou been that streaky Jordan Kyrou that you've been looking here for. Dylan Holloway finally looks like he's starting to pick things back up. He was going pointless here for a little bit. His last 5 hasn't been great, but he's been at least putting the effort forth. I believe we're waiting for like the final stats and everything here to be able to be pushed through, but I believe he led the Blues in shots on goal here with 4 here to the first 30 or for the game. Here's that right?
That's what I got too.
Okay. Yeah. And I'll agree. They got to be able to play a full 60 minutes, and they're just not doing that. And whether they're just taking the second period off, I don't know why. But you're getting the bottom of your lineup that's just leading the charge here for you right now. And I'm just hoping and praying that they're going to find something that's within this mixture, within this chemistry, within whatever. They need to go to Space Jam and be able to get Mike's special stuff, whatever that it is, and they can be able to start rearing their heads around and start performing. I think like this team is more than capable of be able to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I was talking with some of my buddies, like, because I feel like I'm just constantly trying to figure out like what is going on with this team right now. And I know a lot of people have mentioned it on Twitter too, but like I think there's 2 schools of thought, right? It's like one school of thought, which it's obvious that Jim Montgomery is rolling with right now. And I see Ace Rob actually bringing up the point in the chat that Joseph's injury, I think, at the beginning of the season, we wouldn't really pay too much attention to that because of the play that we kind of expected from Joseph going into the season. But like, as it is right now, like that's one of your top dogs. Like, I mean, I called him a pit bull on the last post game, but like having him out of the lineup is not great. And it kind of like protects some of these guys because it just keeps you from healthy scratching, like, another body that you're potentially like not seeing enough from. So, not to like use an injury as that excuse kind of, but like, yeah, it kept somebody out of Jim Montgomery's crosshairs for sure. But we're seeing that in the blender of the lines, which is, continuing throughout the course of this season. Like on one side, I think Jim Montgomery is seeing that, like, if things aren't working, like just continue to switch it up. And like, it's not all about the contracts, which we've seen with coaches before. And even like, sometimes GMs get involved with that. It's like, what have you done for me lately? Like, by all accounts, like Jim Montgomery is prioritizing the players that are playing well and giving them the most ice time right now. And I think like there's something to be said for that for sure, and rewarding the players that are giving 120% every night and doing the things you expected them. And I mean, we saw Oskar Sundqvist get healthy bombed the other night, and he had 2 assists on the night. Like by all accounts, one of your best players on the ice, not just from a playmaking standpoint, but from a two-way game too. It felt like he was everywhere. So, and blocking shots and, everything that you ask from a guy in Oskar Sundqvist's role. So on one hand, there is that perspective, right, of, holding players accountable for showing up every night and doing their best every night. But then on the other side is like how, especially with a team that has like, all of these, I wouldn't say a ton of new players, but some new players like Bugstad and even Dvorsky coming up and trying to get his like boots wet in the NHL, and Pew Suter. It's like, how do you build sustainable chemistry throughout the course of all of these lines when they're constantly, a revolving door of players? So I think, are some of the players on the Blues right now thinking that in their head? Like, I wouldn't blame them if they were, but I also think like there are pros and cons to both sides. So I was wondering your thoughts, Mike. Like, do you agree with the blender of the lines and holding the players accountable, or would you like to see more chemistry and like prolonged giving each lines a chance after you see flashes of brilliance or success there?
I'd like to be able to see a little bit more consistency here with it. The problem that you start running into is that none of the lines have really been showing any bit of spark with it. So I get the whole blender notion, but again, like if none of your lines are showing you anything, then we got to be able to do something to spark something. And it does seem like that whenever those lines do go into a blender, Monty is very hesitant to throw at least one line completely into that mix, because usually at least one line is clicking here with, for some reason, they're the ones who are looking great that night. And so he's not really going to throw that line or that trio here into that mixture here as well. So I would maybe like a little bit more consistency and be able to give the guys here a little bit more of a runway. Maybe not throw the entire line here into a blender and just say, hey, we're going to move, whether it's Snuggard and Cairo, or it's Buchnevich and Holloway, or whatever that combination is going to be. We're going to keep a duo and switch around somebody here on that third addition here to that line. So I don't mind the blending, but again, that's where it does kind of get a little bit hesitant of, okay, well, shoot, if I'm not performing, okay, well, where am I going to be playing here next, and who's my line mates? Who am I going to be told to go over the boards here with? And that's, I think, maybe a little bit something that's kind of frustrating on the players' end here as well.
Yeah, I think I would agree with that. I think another part of blending those lines has been sending Logan Mailloux down to the AHL and kind of putting your faith in Matthew Kessel, who finds the back of the net tonight. What have you seen from Matthew Kessel's game that has left you confident, but also obviously Doug Armstrong and Jim Montgomery confident that you can keep him around and use him as that sixth defenseman slot while Logan Mailloux kind of, figures things out, gets his confidence back, gets his swagger back at the AHL level? Because from the comments that Doug Armstrong made, it seems like he was playing kind of below the talent level that they expected from him, and not so much like, oh, they were shocked and like their scouting was wrong, but it's more like he's nervous and playing. I think Doug Armstrong phrased that he was playing not to make a mistake, and they want him to play a little bit more free, a little bit more open, like an offensive defenseman should. So what have you seen from that dynamic with Mailloux, but also like I said, the confidence with Kessel in there?
Yeah, and to your point, there's a difference between being able to play mistake-free hockey, or at least trying to play mistake-free hockey, versus just going out there and playing with that level of confidence, that level of swagger, that you're just playing your game. Because when you're constantly worrying about making the next mistake, then you're not thinking clearly. You're gripping that stick here just a little bit tighter. You're trying to make the perfect pass, the perfect play, and you're not really thinking clearly then at that point in time. And I think he's not thinking in that same direction that I think that we have seen of Logan Mailloux, especially in that preseason, where a lot of fans were looking at him saying, shoot, we got a player here on our hands. And now, again, like you're just seeing a guy who is just trying to not make the mistake that's going to end up costing them or putting him in the penalty box. So in turn, Matt Kessel, man, he's just rewarding you here right now. He's that guy who's typically going to be the player you don't hear a lot from. He's going to be like that Carl Gunnarsson type, where if you don't really hear his name a lot, it's probably because he's just doing his job. And there's nothing wrong with those defensemen, but boy, you heard a lot of Matt Kessel's name here tonight. He went streaking down the line. He has got a shot here on him, and I would love to be able to see him maybe put the puck here on net just a little bit more. I like the confidence that he's playing with, and I think that he knows I have an absolute chance to show these guys that I deserve to be in this lineup. And if a guy here like Justin Falk is potentially going to be on his way out, and then there's another battle here for some more ice time, boy, Matthew Kessel is showing you that he absolutely deserves that chance, and he's playing smart in his own end. It's rare that he's coughing up the puck here right now, and I think he's earning every bit of confidence here from Jim Montgomery here in the coaching staff to be able to tell him to be able to take another shift and another shift and another shift.
Yeah, and I think we talked about it a little bit before this postgame, but there is a ton of ice time available on the back end of that defense because It seems like Jim Montgomery is consistently shortening the bench as they get into the dire minutes. We had 24 minutes of time on ice for Philip Broberg, 21 minutes for Justin Falk, 21 minutes for Cam Fowler, 26 minutes for Colton Parayko, and then 11 minutes for Kessel and 10 minutes for Tucker. So it's obvious that he's leaning on his big dogs that are going to shut it down defensively, which
makes sense.
Given the results for the Blues so far this season, like I don't blame him for doing that.
No.
But over the course of an 82-game season, I think we've talked about this. Like I don't know if that's sustainable. So you're going to have to figure out some way to kind of divvy it up throughout the course of this season, like throughout all of the lines and all the players on the defense, not just, Kessel and Tucker. So, but going off of what you said about Logan Mailloux and kind of playing a little bit on the heels and afraid to make a mistake, it almost feels like that's kind of resonating throughout the entire team right now. And like it's working out in their favor sometimes, like in the form of block shots. I think they had like 14 or something tonight, which is, obviously what you want to see from a team that's, has had like their compete levels like questioned and, is struggling to find wins at the moment and early on in the season. So, and, just wanting guys to buy in and like you need that to be a part of St. Louis Blues, like any type of identity. It's like the physicality, going to the like dirty areas of the ice, and then having the ability and the willpower to put your body on the line and block shots for your team. Yeah, 18 block shots tonight. That's solid, right? But at the same time, like it almost feels like their positioning, especially in the third period, is so far back from like when opposing players have like their D-men at the point. Like they're so almost nervous of getting like the top guys walked around and then having like a mismatch that they're so far back that it feels like a lot of these goals that are going in against Jordan Binnington. I mean, one tonight we had a snipe from Coronado, and then another one that it did look tipped, but then it also didn't look like it was tipped.
Right.
But also at the same time, you had two guys on the Flames like kind of flying by as it goes in. So I don't know if Jordan Binnington like fully saw it, but those are the issues that you run into, right? It's like if you're aggressive on the puck at the blue line, like yes, you have the potential to get beat, and then it's like a 5-on-4, like as they're going in after that. But like you're also like minimizing your area to like be able to block more shots and make it more difficult on the opponents instead of just having like all the time in the world to sling the pucks around the perimeter. Like this is the NHL. Like you can say that you prefer like perimeter shots. And with Jordan Binnington in goal, absolutely I do. But when you've got like 7 guys in front of the net on the way there and you're letting a dude pick like wherever he wants to put it in between those guys, like, some of the best goalies in the league aren't going to make those saves when he's got to look around 6 bodies to try to see the puck. So I think there's a middle area there that the Blues are kind of struggling to find as they go on through the course of this season. But obviously 3-2 win tonight, so the result is in your favor. And it's I feel like it's more lighthearted to figure out the kinks and figure out the problems when you come away victorious than it is when you're on the wrong end of an 8-3 loss. So they got that going for them.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, all that being said, I want to be able to take a look here and be able to get your opinion on what you think that your money moment here of the game here was. Again, the money moment here of the game is continued to be brought to you by Home Bank. The team, again, here behind the team at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. I know here for me, my money moment here of the game was going to be Matthew Kessel's shot and his goal. It seems like that was a good rallying point here for the boys, and this was one that the entire team that they seemed like they got here behind. Once they went up 2-0, again, it seems like that they were gelling just a little bit more, and they just kind of got their groove going here just a smidge bit more. So for me, it's going to be Matthew Kessel's goal.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Nathan Walker goal because I love like second assist on the night for Oskar Sundqvist. Felt like he was kind of Magic Johnson out there, which is crazy to say for a guy that, has pretty much played in your bottom 6 since the time. Like he's been here and even in his time coming back. But It felt like the healthy scratch kind of provided him. He even said in the comments, I think it was before the game, that Jim Montgomery, like the communication with him about the healthy scratch and why it was happening and what he's looking for players to do, like coming back out of it, is really helpful for him. And obviously it paid dividends tonight. So I think that's one part of the money moment of the game for me and why I chose that one. But it's also just from an identity standpoint, like those are the kind of goals that I want to see from the St. Louis Blues. Like we don't have like guys like Austin Matthews and guys like Matthew Tkachuk that are going to score like 360 no-look backhanders or like beating off the rush and like just dangles three guys and like, slides it home and makes the goalie look like he's like sliding over to the face-off circle. Like that's not how the Blues are built, and that's never how they're going to look like watching them night in and night out, unless by, some stroke of crazy luck they get like 21st overall pick and end up with a guy that just fell for absolutely no reason. But it's going to be the grimy goals. It's going to be your blue-collar workers on the fourth line like Nathan Walker, Torpachenko, and Oskar Sundqvist. It's going to be the guys that go flying into the goalie at full speed and like with reckless abandon for themselves as well as the other team, making the hard plays, making the ugly plays. Sometimes like the ugly goals are how the teams come away victorious in this league. I feel like the Florida Panthers are a great example of that. Like obviously they have skill guys on their team too. But a lot of their success in going back to back is really just enforcing their will on their opponents. And it's not always sexy and it's not always pretty, but it gets the job done. So I think for the Blues, like that's how they won the Stanley Cup, was just bullying other teams. So I think slowly but surely, like the more that we see goals like that and the more we see success like that, and Jim Montgomery kind of breathe confidence into those moments like that, I think we're going to slowly but surely see that identity come back into this team, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Yeah. I would love to be able to see just any bit of confidence, any bit of consistency come back here like into this Blues lineup. And that's what, you got this victory. Great. You just need to start just trending things here in the right direction. That's all that you need to be able to just get things here started. And that's where I think, if we start looking forward here to Friday night's game here against Philadelphia, they've got another back-to-back, Philadelphia and then Vegas here as well. I'll be in attendance here against Philadelphia. That should be an interesting game. Right now, the Flyers here are 8-5-2 ahead of the game here again here on Friday. What do you think the Blues? What do you think that their odds look like? What do you think that how that they should be able to perform here against a somewhat struggling Flyers team?
I don't know. It feels. It feels like that. I don't know if they've been struggling. It feels like they've been good.
They're just inconsistent.
Like Zegras acquisition of them has looked phenomenal. They're already talking about like extensions and stuff. So, I think, and they've kind of had injury bugs. I think a couple of their guys have been banged up too. And I know the Golden Knights have with Mark Stone and Aiden Hill. So, there's opportunity here. Like, I don't think either of these games are like unwinnable for this team. Obviously, the Golden Knights are a little bit more formidable than the Flyers at this point, but the Flyers have been hot. So, dude, I think right now, it's just all the confidence of this team stems from the goaltending and the defense. And, if you're letting up 40 shots in a night to the worst team in the NHL, like, yeah, you got the win, but like, that's still not helping your confidence that like, hey, we can shut teams down. Like that's not really happening. So I think that's one of the main things that I would focus on if I was Jim Montgomery and I was the St. Louis Blues, would be like, hey, how do we make sure that the Flyers don't put up 50 shots on us? Because that's probably going to end up bad in terms of the result in our favor. So but other than that, I think it's just build off of what you saw tonight in that identity with the fourth line, like, kind of give Oskar Sundqvist some more ice time if he's going to keep wheeling passes like this, but also like kind of what we've been talking about consistently throughout the course of this of this season. Like you got to get some production from your top end guys. Otherwise, I don't think you're going anywhere this season. So the second they start doing that, they're going to find success. And if they continue to not find success doing that, Doug Armstrong is going to continue to rattle the cages.
Absolutely. Well, and here pretty soon, you're going to be able to actually start putting some of those bets, start putting your money here where your mouth is, especially here through DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and use the code STL Sports to grab $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live here on December 1st. We're just days away here from this. That's code STL Sports in a partnership here with DraftKings Sportsbook.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
So if you had to look here towards Friday night, again, you got Philly here in town. Matthew Michkov is struggling. There's a lot of reports out there here from him. But again, you've got a team. Like you said, Trevor Zegras, 4 goals, 16 points. Konechny, 5 goals, 13 points. Couturier here is looking. He's kind of slowed down here a little bit. He's got 10 points here in 14 games. What do you think here right now that you would see here from the Flyers or even just like from the Blues? Who do you think is going to be standing out? What do you think like a final score? I mean, give me, if you had to be able to put a DraftKings bet down, what would you think?
I don't know, dude. Like I will say this. I feel like the Flyers is the game that I would give to Hofer. And then I'd put Binnington in against the Golden Knights. I just don't know. Like the issue is like because this team is so inconsistent, like we've seen results where it looks like maybe not that many this season, but like we've seen this team be able to hang with like the big dogs and win games like, well, I guess the Dallas Stars was a good game, right? I think it was like 2-1 or something like that. Like that, it's probably like a playoff caliber team. So like, I don't know. I don't know if I would even say like the over or the under, because you could really get like anything, right?
Yeah.
I think the trends that I'm seeing right now are like, if you're going to bet like an anytime goal scorer, like probably don't put it on one of the guys that's making a ton of money because they're not doing much right now. I would probably bet like if you're going to do like over or under on saves, like whether it's Binner or Hofer, I'd probably put some money on that because the Blues have been struggling on defense. So like, but the Blues, it feels like the Blues goaltending, like I don't want to jinx it. Binner looked great tonight. Hofer has looked solid in his last couple of starts. So like, if you're taking over under on like saves made, I'd probably take the over, depending on what that line is. But yeah, and then if you're telling me like, I love being positive on this show, but I also love being real. Like if you're telling me what would I bet on the Blues versus the Golden Knights on the second half of a back-to-back, I'm probably not taking them on the money line on that one.
Yeah.
From a experience standpoint of this season so far. Hopefully they prove me wrong. I would love for them to prove me wrong. The Vegas Golden Knights look like they're absolute studs. Jack Eichel's been a man on fire. Mitch Marner's fitting in nicely. I don't even know if it matters who's in goal for them right now because their team is just stout, and they can pretty much score at will. And your old friend Ivan Barbashev will be back in town. There's just a whole bunch of great things in play there.
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm probably not taking the money line for the St. Louis Blues on that game.
So if I had to put anything here down, I would say give me the Blues winning this game. Philly has actually struggled on the road, which is interesting. They're about 500 on the road. Granted, the Blues aren't doing much better at home here either, so it's going to be an interesting one. Yes, this is the first win here in these new uniforms here, by the way. So yes, will they answer that question? I would actually put some money on Jordan Kyrou. If I could be able to do a bet that's over under half a point for Jordan Kyrou, I'd put money here on that.
You probably get some great odds on if you picked like Pius Suter, even though I think he's leading the team still in points, but like his odds on like a goal would probably be pretty nice. Or even a guy like Bjugstad, like if he's going to play on the second line again, like he's looked pretty solid in like the early stretches of this game. Or even a guy like Matthew Joseph, like if he comes back from injury and immediately inserts into the lineup, you throw some, even like $5 on like a, anytime goal scorer, like I think his odds on that, if they're like plus 400 or something crazy, like it might even be better than that. Like you're going to make a pretty good buck if he does score. And I like his chances to do so just because I've liked his game so far.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then if we had to be able to look here forward here to the game here against Vegas, Pavel Dorofeev here with Vegas is always good. He's got 10 goals, 11 points here in 15 games, but against the Golden Knights, that's where it's going to be tough. I like to be able to go here with our guy Shen. Just give me something here from him. I think here in a back-to-back against a team here like Vegas, I want to look here to my captain, be able to at least give me a point here someplace. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup. I'm really interested to see how this weekend's going to go. It's not going to be easy by any stretch of the imagination. The Blues are going to be put here to the test. Monty is going to have a hard time, I think, tightening up that bench, especially in that second of the back-to-backs. So we'll see here how that goes. But boy, these guys are going to be able to need to be able to drink something to be able to keep themselves energized. We're going to be drinking Drink Thunder. That's what I know that I'm going to be taking my time up here with. Drink Thunder is the all-natural pre-workout that just hits different. Plant-based, fruit-powered, zero sugar, sweetened naturally here with monk fruit. Each serving's packed with vitamins, minerals, antioxidants who ignite your energy and push your performance here to the next level. Choose your flavor. I love the orange mango. The blackberry lemonade here is out there. Strawberry cream. Just be able to feel the rush the natural way. Go to drinkthunder.com to be able to order your subscription here now. So, Tommy, it's been an interesting one.
It'll be interesting to see what they do down the stretch as well. And I just noticed that we got the Flyers on Friday, and then you play the Flyers again on November 20th. So familiar foe in the next 4 games. Then in between the Golden Knights and the Flyers again, you have the Maple Leafs, who we just saw Austin Matthews go down with injury tonight, and Stolars as well. So I don't think we've gotten any updates on those, but potentially for the game against the St. Louis Blues, they could be missing 2 of their massive pieces of their team. So those are the games that you got to take advantage of, and the games that the Blues historically throughout the course of the season haven't taken advantage of. But we will be here Friday, Saturday, and every game throughout the course of this season, whether they win, whether they lose, whether they make the playoffs, whether they are, in line to get a lottery pick. We will be here every time. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Thank you, chat, for helping out and engaging. You guys are always amazing in keeping the conversation going. Make sure you follow us everywhere. Subscribe on YouTube. I think we were at like almost at 17,000 subscribers, which is absolutely insane. But that way you guys never miss a post-game show, whether it's Cardinals, Mizzou, our betting shows with December 1st coming up. Like, you guys can get all of the action, including Blue Central, but all STL Sports action on here on STL Sports Central. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for the conversation. Like I said, I've been Thomas Welch. This is Mike Meyer. We appreciate you guys so much, and we will see you on Friday against the Flyers. Go Blues.